My homies, come join me today. Very back and forth kind of day today. I'm not gonna lie to you. You're gonna have so many really awesome lifts, and eventually you're gonna have just kind of an okay, kind of shittier day to counteract that. Sometimes I say it a lot when you're long-term lifting, especially with strength building. You get to a point where you're going to have about 5 to 10% of your lifts be excellent. You overachieved, you pushed beyond the boundary. About 5 to 10% of those lifts are also going to be really awful dog shit kind of days. And then the wide majority of your exercises are most likely going to be like, you hit the weights that you thought you could, you put your best effort behind it, the highest passion and intensity you could. That's a win in anybody's book, but it's still not something that was over the moon, you know what I mean? And oddly enough, I had a kind of lift today where the first half of the exercise was abysmal. Just being straight up, did not feel good whatsoever. Was really hard to even get as passionate about it as I wanted to, and I did not trust going heavier on the snatch variation today, because it was starting to cause pain, and I'll get into that in a minute. But it's never worth pushing anything too heavy especially if I'm doing a technique, more core strength kind of week. I don't want to be hurting myself on a week where I should be recovering, But the last half of the workout was ecstatic, which is kind of funny because you really don't expect to pull yourself out of the hole like that. But, I kind of... The variation I did on snatches began as I was going to start at the hips and do a slowest tempo descent to the knees and then do a hang power snatch. Because I haven't trained powers in a while. They're good for high explosiveness, sure. I honestly, I just kind of wanted a rest from doing full squats because I've been doing them pretty hard this week, and it went all right for the first warm up, but it immediately felt really bad. I didn't feel like I was getting anything out of it, and again, it's not one of those experiences where I feel like I can't do it technically with when it comes to my mobility and my form. But it literally just felt like I was overworking my body in a negative way that would just leave me at a higher risk of injury than making me feel better, which could have been a precursor to why I felt way less decent than I typically would like to feel on a day like today, where I was really trying to hype it up. But it happens, you gotta go through those Kryptonite type lifts, the ones that really draw out your weaknesses, literally, because it just was not there. And so I ended up switching it after the first warm up, to same idea, starting at the hip, but just doing a semi-slow tempo below the knee power snatch and hang power snatch, and that felt way better. But the damage was kind of already done, and it was really hard to lock anything back in. And I come to realize, this is why I kind of call it a Kryptonite type exercise, is I've explained in the past, a good while ago, I developed a bone growth on my left hand. Carpal bossing is what it's called. It's just a very high increase in bone density all at once in one spot that can limit mobility in whatever part of your body it happens to, and potentially cut off nerves, or get in the way of your ligaments. It's pretty dangerous. And so I worked through that, got the mobility up, fixed it, and now I'm all good, and it's not an issue. But when it comes to the power snatch, there's so much less range of motion for me to catch the barbell at, that when it's really hard for me to turn my wrist over fast enough to catch it comfortably. Because on those warm-up weights, man, I will fucking tell you, it did not feel good. Because I felt my right one fully turn over, because that one is mobile by default without a bone growth. But the second one, I kept catching, right on the catch, my wrist would almost be semi-vertical before being able to fully bend back on the catch. And you always want to be able to kind of smoothly transition to the bar falling into the palm of your hand with it bent slightly back, rather than your hand fully straight up. You don't want it to be like on a bench press where your hand is fully in place with your forearm. Your hand has to be able to bend back for the barbell to land in the palm to fully line it up with your spine. And it just was not hitting. And on top of that, the extra stress that the quick power put on my knee didn't feel great. Luckily, and this is actually not even bad, it's not a big deal, the pain was not in my quad tendon today, it was in my patellar tendon. And I know that can seem bad because it's like, oh, well, now you got two parts of your knee that are fucked up. But no, there was no legitimate pain today. You got to make sure you can deviate the feeling of what pain versus discomfort is. Because I could still do full mobility. There was definitely obvious discomfort, but once I started moving my legs around and getting the blood through them, there's no pain, So that just means that it was just a little bit tight, not, maybe a little bit of strain, some irritation, inflammation, that type of stuff. So I ended up just stopping at 205 on the snatch variation, so I didn't overdo it. Really took my time with that. I just did not want to really overstrain it more than it already became. Again, the damage was kind of already done, so it did make me hyperfixate on it a little bit, but was not a big deal at all. Was not a big deal whatsoever. Beyond that, the bench press, where we brought it back. Oh man, it's so fun to get redemption right in that moment because I really never expect to. I'll tell you what, especially when I get in my head like that, because it's if I've been dealing with my knee for so long that it really can tank the mindset in the moment when you're just like, oh my god, one extra thing to worry about when I'm trying to hype up the passion. But you got to remind yourself that on top of the knee not being really necessary for my bench press at all and it not affecting it, if I feel fine and it's something that I can't really fix in that moment and I can't worry about right then and there, then what am I going to do? Why hyperfixate on something like that in the moment when all you can do is wait? You can't, when you feel something strain a bit, it is not like doing 100 accessories right then and there is going to make your joint, tendon, muscle, whatever feel better. It's honestly just going to overstrain it or make you feel more discomfort. And it just needs rest, so that's why I didn't do full squats today. And I'm glad for that. So, as much as it sucks, you kind of have to force yourself to just throw out the memory of that first half of the exercises, especially getting into something else that you know that you can put that maximum effort into, but it's about how well you can fortify your want to do that lift, So I just wanted to keep it simple on bench. I wanted to do something really fun. This week, again, is not based on volume or sets or any sort of percentages. It's just fun doing a hard technique lift as well as I can for a top heavy single so that I can recondition my body to get back on the normal program. Ugh. So today, the way I write in my program is slowest tempo. And not like, there's a set for that. I had people asking me today like what I was counting to, and you don't count on a slowest tempo. It's just while you're doing that rep, if you feel like you can go slower, then you can go slower. It's as simple as that. You're not going to want to, obviously. It's like doing a high volume set, but you have to make yourself struggle longer and longer and longer as much as you can, just to the breaking point right before where you know that you can drive the barbell back up. Because again, I could probably hold a descent on a bench for 30 seconds if I wanted to. But I'm not going to be able to push that back up. I know that for a fact, especially when you get to the bottom of the lift. You get to a point where you just run out of energy completely. You start as slow a tempo as I'm going to try to hold throughout the whole thing. The tempo is not going to be as consistent throughout the entire descent. The first half of the descent is going to be as slow as I can, and you're not even going to be able to really tell the barbell's moving. But then in that last half, when I'm getting closer to my chest, you're going to see it pick up speed really quickly. Just because that's the strain in your shoulders and the mental need to remind yourself, hey, you're going to not be able to press this back up if you don't do it right now. you gotta temper yourself. So luckily, still peaked. Ignoring the slight wrist and knee pain from the power snatches, which, by the way, fuck power snatches. I ain't doing them anymore. And that's not to say that they're bad for you. A lot of people benefit from them, and I'm sure that I could. It's just a matter of if I do anything relatively heavy at all, my wrist is going to get hurt. And I don't want to risk that. I need the increased range of motion. But on the bench, man, I did not expect 3 plates today. And more than that, a 16-second descension. What? Man. The idea of holding 3 plates while it's moving down toward my body for 16 seconds with a pause and driving it back up, brother. There's nothing not to be excited about, Again, that was an exemplary lift, but for today it more so just canceled out the struggle I went through, It did bring back the good positive mindset a good bit, which was nice. The homies are always there to support, you know how we do. And I did do some knee accessory stuff at the end. I've been doing my reverse sled pulls to make sure I stay consistent with that, and it's been helping a lot. And so, you can't dwell on an in-the-moment strain. It's going to be there for a minute. You don't know if it's going to be there for a day. I had a buddy of mine max out his deadlift today, and he said that he felt like his his erectors near his spine strain a bit. And he was like, oh, how long do you think it's going to be? What should I do? And I was just like, dude, take a hot bath, do some nice, comfortable, full-body stretches. And if you're going to put any weight on, if there is a slight increment of pain, don't do it. It's not worth it. Take the couple days, if not a week at the most, to just recover, feel it out, and I promise you'll come back stronger. Because if you try to work through pain rather than letting the pain subside and then work through discomfort, then you're going to get injured way worse, or you're not going to be able to build strength because of that pain, So the accessories obviously did help. I got some good blood flow in the knee, some strength in the tendon, but I'm not going to know where it's at till tomorrow. That's just how it is, So I'm going to just take it easy, relax. When I wake up, I'll know. And what a good day for a rest day, So I'm just going to really take my time to take a me day and not think about it beyond that, You just accept what you're doing, Let the kryptonite be a kryptonite. If you are going to suffer, embrace the suffering and try to at least bring something positive out of that struggle. And then, once you get to that next step, you'll have earned it. And you'll actually feel credible in that way. You'll trust yourself more for the future experiences that you have with similar issues to come, Because as much as you don't want to, and as perfect as a program you may have, or as light as you may go when you're lifting, if you train consistently, you will get injured. It's inevitable. It's going to happen, whether it's age, whether it's mobility, whether it's too much weight. You will get injured no matter what. It's just whether or not you take the time off and recover and bounce back twice as hard. That matters, Kryptonite's only going to take you down as much as you allow it to. You got to make it a relatively positive toward what your goals are, And I don't care if I PR. I don't care how much weight I'm putting up. I just want to put in maximum effort, maximum intensity for whatever I can do today. So if it's the barbell, who cares? At least I could do something. There's people without legs out there, man. At least I can walk. Physically, I give it a solid, not so solid, not so solid 7.5. It wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't great. But, we bounced back. We did our best. It was still a decent power snatch. It just didn't have that passion behind it that I wanted. It was just a purely technique lift with not a lot of excitement, and then I brought it back with the bench. And that's, what else could I ask for, Mentally, I give it a solid 7.8. A solid one. Again, that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just the hype wasn't really there, and it really drags down how much the bench could have felt. But again, we don't work in shoulda, coulda, woulda. You just do the best that you can right now, and whatever your next step is, embrace that shit with 100%, man. That's all you can do. I gotta get out of here. I got shit to do, sleep to be had, food to be eaten. So I appreciate y'all hanging out, hearing me yap as always. Let me know how the lives and lists have been going. I love hearing about it. And I'll be back day after tomorrow, resting tomorrow. So be patient. It'll be a pretty heavy clean and jerk day when I get back. So hopefully I wake up and the knee doesn't have any pain. If it does, we'll do an accessory. And if the pain resides and keeps staying, then I'm not going to worry about the weight. That's it. We'll get there at my own pace. I'll be back. Love you guys. See ya.